Welcome to this latest in a series of conversations with the most wonderful and inspiring women across all parts of construction and the built environment. And today I'm being joined by Jade Lewis. Jade is the Chief Executive of the Sustainable Energy Association, and probably I would say one of the best well-connected people and most well-connected women in construction today. So Jade, thank you very much for joining me.
You're welcome, Liz. Nice to be here.
I'm going to ask you about your role, what you do now, and I think it'd be interesting to know perhaps a little bit about your background as well and how you got to do the job you're doing right now.
So I've been in the construction product sector for around 25 years. I know I don't look old enough, but I have been. How I got to where I am now is a complete accident, and I suppose if you speak to anybody my age, there's been a little bit of chance in their career. Yeah. I actually started out in science and engineering, in manufacturing. I've worked in many roles over that time, so it's not like I've worked in the same company for 25 years and not done different things. I've actually worked in research and development, in technical sales, in advocacy, in quality control, process control, many different areas. But what that did give me was a really good overview of how a manufacturing sector works and how the construction sector works. Around 10 years ago, when government was looking to develop the Green Deal, I got the opportunity to be seconded to work within government on developments of a certain area of that policy. I know the policy itself didn't go down so well, but it actually was brilliant for my career. And I came out of that with a real good understanding of the policy, the sector, how it works, really good connections, and had helped to kind of showcase the company I was working for in a good light. And that opened doors for me. That kind of led on to this whole new world of advocacy, where I became the networker for the business. I was the face of the business. I went out building relationships with government departments. And that's basically what advocacy is. It's all about developing trusted relationships, being able to open doors for the company, being able to influence their thinking, making sure that the government policy is good for the sector, is actually good for the business. So that's where I got into it, a complete and utter accident, but turns out I'm quite good at it. And 10 years later, I'm now chief executive of a trade association working in a field that I knew nothing about when I started, but it seems to have gone really, really well.
It's so funny. I hear this story a lot, actually. It does seem to be accidental in many cases that we fall into the industry. So thank you for telling us that journey. And I guess without it meaning to sound a bit like a job interview, could you tell me a bit more about something big and exciting that you're working on right now?
Well, I think there's nothing in terms of a specific project, but what we do in the SEA, the Sustainable Energy Association, for those of you who don't know it, shortened to SEA, we are a association representing our members, and our aim is to make sure that all buildings are fit for the future. And given that the government's priority at the moment is around zero carbon, then it's a really exciting vision and organisation to be working in. So the whole role of the organisation is about delivering better policies that help us deliver that vision, help transform the construction sector, help transform the way we develop and design buildings, make sure that we've got a sustainable market for the industries and for our members that are supplying the products and solutions to deliver that vision. So everything we're doing this year is aimed at inputting into the zero carbon agenda, what the government's doing already, and making sure that that's fit for purpose, making sure that we achieve better buildings, making sure that it delivers a sustainable market. So we will be a little bit more reactive than we normally are, but that's good. That shows that we've actually got this topic on the government's agenda, and we're not having to do the kind of really hard push that we usually do. But it's going to be a very, very busy year, lots of policy coming at us, and our role will be this year to steer that and make sure that it is genuinely well thought out, we don't make the mistakes of the past, and that it does give that long-term confidence and certainty that the industry really, really needs, because we've been here before. You know yourself that 5 years ago, the government withdrew the government policy, changed direction, and we were all left going, what do we do now? Where's it gone? Where's zero carbon gone? Now it's back, and it's back fast. So it sounds like we're being very reactive, but we do need to keep an eye on them and hold them to account, and influence and make sure it's well thought out.
Jade, you and I, we often talk about what it's going to take to change the construction industry for the better. And I'm going to be quite ruthless, really, and ask you for just one of your many, many ideas. I know you're full of solutions, but give me one that will make a lasting difference to our sector.
So if you were to ask our members what the one big thing they need is to make the big difference, they would say it's long-term, joined up government policy in this area. So if we want buildings to be zero carbon, we want them to be energy efficient, have low carbon heating systems, then absolutely they need that roadmap to get to zero carbon. They need to understand what the policies are, what the steps are along the way, and it needs to be joined up across the different departments so they fully understand what's needed for heat and energy efficiency in buildings. So that's what our members would say, and it's absolutely true. We've seen this before. We've seen government take away policy and change it, and the sector really needs confidence. If it's going to invest in manufacturing capacity, if it's going to invest in the skills, if it's going to innovate and deliver what they need that long-term certainty and that confidence in policy. That's what our members would say. I'm going to cheat here and add another one in, because for me, what I want to see is that instead of us focusing purely on carbon and on productivity and levelling up across the country, what we really should be doing is putting health and well-being of people at the centre of all the decisions. So if we're making decisions on buildings policy, how does that impact on people? How does the building itself impact on their health and well-being? So when we're looking at building regulations, they're not just focused on carbon and minimum safety. Of course, that's absolutely vital, but also what's the impact on the person living in that building? How do we design the buildings better so it improves their health and well-being? How do we give how do we bring the well-being side into the construction sector? We've got a terrible record when it comes to mental health. We've done brilliantly on safety over the years. So how do we bring in that well-being piece as well? And Wales have done it. They've got their Wellbeing Generation Act, and they've kind of set the way. When we make policy in the rest of the UK, it's normally with a different driver. So for me, what I would really love to see is health and wellbeing put at the centre of all the decisions. I think this will help with buildings, help with the regulation, help deliver what we need, but also improve the construction sector. So it would become the centre point to everything we do.
We're all discussing amongst us this theme of choose to challenge. The question I'm asking everybody, and the question I'd like to ask you, is what are you choosing to challenge this year?
That's a difficult one for me. It's what I do for a living, is challenge. So I spend a lifetime challenging the sector to do things differently, to build buildings more energy efficient, to change their heating systems to be lower carbon, to change in general and to be more diverse. So I'll continue to do that. I suppose for me, the question is, what can I do to help the sector, and what can I do more of to help with the issue? And so I'm going to challenge myself to help more women into construction, to do more mentoring this year. I've done some, but the offer's there to do more, to help them, to coach them and get them through some of the slightly tricky times, give them some advice on how they can grow their own careers. And so that'll be what I'll personally challenge myself, but I will still keep challenging the sector to do more and do better. That's what I do.
I never doubted it for a minute. This is good. And if somebody would like to talk to you about being a potential mentee, and to, you know, if there's a young woman out there who would value you as a mentor, how do they get in touch with you?
Probably the best way for me is LinkedIn. I'm quite active on there, so contact me on LinkedIn. I obviously can't promise to do absolutely everybody. Nobody could. But yeah, if people want to contact me there, then I'll hopefully give them some support.
That is really fantastic and a wonderful challenge and a wonderful offer as well, to other women in the sector. So thank you very much, Jade. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks, Liz. It's been great to catch up.